So before we start, let's first push the changes to GitHub. So let's do npm run build and git add and git commit with the message add custom bar or something like that. And then we do git push and we can continue. So the first thing that we will do now, we will add event listener to our input, because currently when we are moving the slider, the fill doesn't adapt. So we have to change that. So let's add input on change. So, or maybe even on input. Every time the change happens, like every time we move the slider, we want to trigger the function handle input. Let's copy this function and we can make a handler and define the function. So the function will get an event and we can make a value, which is event target value, but this is going to be a string, so we just have to make it into an integer. And then let's just, for fun, log this. Console log value. Let's see if this works. Yes, so every time we're pulling this, it always logs us where we are currently at. What's the current value? So by default, the range slider has values from 0 up to 100. So we will change this because we know that range sliders or input fields can have different minimums and maximums. So let's first do this. When we are calling range slider, we want to pass in the options, defining what is our particular minimum and maximum. Let's say this one will be between 0 and 10. And then on the other side, inside of the component itself, we get these options and we can deconstruct them here. So const min and max come from the options. And if we don't receive this, we can just set the defaults, which would be equals 1000, for example. And then when we have this input, we also have to set the input min to be whatever is min and input max to be max. So let's see if this works now. So our max is now 10 because we defined this when we called the range slider function. When we required the component and then we called it, we passed in the options and the component received the options and set minimum and maximum based on what it received. If it wouldn't receive anything, it would be set to 0 and 1000. Okay, so we still didn't fix this. So how do we do that? So when we are dragging the slider, we're receiving the values, and now we just have to update the styling of the bar or the fill accordingly. So let's do this. So fill style width is going to be what we will say here. So it will be in percentages, and it will take the value divided by maximum, and then times 100 so that we get a percentage. So let's see if this works. Yes, it does. The last thing left is to set this default fill to be 0% instead of 80% so that it starts nicely with empty bar. And we have to also put the thumb to the beginning, and this we do by setting input value to be minimum. Okay, so now we have the slider behaving the way we want. When we go out, when it's not in focus, the bar or the fill is gray, and when it's in focus, it's changing when we're dragging the thumb, and the color is blue, and then again becomes gray when we unfocus it. Okay, so let us now push these changes to GitHub. npm run build git status. The changes were done in demo, source, and bundle. Git add. And now we can see that all the changes are added. Now we just need to commit them. Git commit, update, add on input, and change fill styling based on the, or this. Maybe we can also say add on input, opts, and change fill styling. Okay, and git push.